Hello, my loves, it's Jay, and you are listening to the Walk With Me podcast. I hope that you are finding a way to get outside. I have found that hard the last few times of recording, but I am actually freezing my butt off, probably because I'm barefoot, and I'm walking on my patio, and I'm just going to pace and probably look like a caged lion, which is a little bit what I feel like right now. But it does feel good to get the fresh air and to get out of the house in this moment and to see the little bits of spring that are popping up everywhere. We've got this beautiful tree that blooms in March. It starts to, and there's little pink buds on it. We planted it when Violet was born, which, as I'm saying, makes me realize we need to plant a tree for autumn. We have not done that yet, and it's kind of unfair. So check with me if I've done that in the next recording, in the next walk with me. But I'm excited to walk with you today. And we've been talking a little bit of this theme this season that started with this reflection of authority and really coming into ourselves to make bigger decisions and stop looking outside of ourselves to leaders, authority, whether it be government, doctors, parents, to really trust our own intuition and empowering ourselves to make deeper, more intuitive decisions in our lives. And then all of this crazy pandemic happened after sharing that. And now we've been talking about some of the new ways and patterns of ways of being that will serve us in this kind of new normal that is happening right now and that is emerging, and where it will take us after. And I've created these 3 pillars that I think are going to be pivotal for us, which begin with intuition and then allow us to live more in emergence with what is in front of us, and then innovation. And last week we talked a bit about emergence, and I shared the definition of that and why I think it's important now and why I think it will be important for business and life moving forward. And so I'm practicing that right now and kind of looking at what's true today. As I'm recording this, we're officially 18 days into a really strict quarantine. We really have not left the house. We have not let anybody in the house. We had to ask our nanny to stop coming because she wasn't taking it as seriously. We had to, we won't even see my in-laws or our Violet's aunts and uncles or cousins, because they also are just not able to be as quarantined as we are, considering that Brent and I work from home already. This was, our normal life is pretty quarantined. We don't see that many people outside of like friends and family, and we don't have to go to offices. We don't have to leave the house for work. We really just take Violet to school and work from home. Our nanny and cleaners come here, and we have like friends and family. So since school was canceled and we didn't have to change anything with work, we've been able to be really strict, which has also really meant that we've like deepened that. So we only left for the store maybe twice in those 18 days, and we're very cautious when we did. We wiped down our boxes with spraying colloidal silver on them and using gloves, and we try to stock up for at least a week and a half between each store visit so that we're still able to eat fresh fruits and vegetables but not be in the supermarket environment. And so anyways, today, 18 days, 2.5 weeks in, what I'm noticing is that, it does take 21 days to form a new habit or to cure a bad habit. And you do that by, you'll start to feel that ability, that habit lighten up, or that new habit forming as you get to 21 days. And that's a little bit what I'm feeling today. There's like a little bit more comfort with this situation. We have a bit of a more expected routine, although I'm really focusing on not trying to establish too much of a routine and actually getting used to using intuition and emergence as the way of being, instead of trying to get so routine and regimented. I found today that actually created more stress and discomfort and arguments in the house when we tried to get my 4-year-old to stick to this routine, which for her was getting on her preschool class, which is from 9:30 to 10, and then she had a kids yoga class from 10:30 to 11. And I had those pre-planned, and it just created so much more stress. And so and just noticing that even in that, it's good to have options of structures in place, but to check in the moment whether they worked. For example, she woke up a little bit late because she went to bed a little bit late and she hadn't eaten, and they don't want her eating on her class. And so it didn't make sense to log her in and make her go and rush to it and then to try to rush her to the next thing after. And that was me like being out of emergence and trying to lean back on that old way of structure and routine, which in general is like a meta example for, a smaller example for the bigger picture, in that I think our systems and structures in society are proving how they don't work. We're proving how our government system it has not worked for a long time, and it's not going to serve us moving forward. And yet we're still so scared not to have that structure. So we can all be practicing in our daily lives, releasing that addiction to structure as safety, and recognizing that as we let systems and structures and routines and strict containers and boxes that we put ourselves, our lives in, as we let those crash down and face the discomfort of that, I think we are actually going to come into a newer sense of grace and ease and living that will allow us to experience our full range of pleasure. And it starts with these little daily realizations. So that's what's happening with me over here, is really trying to run a business and take care of these girls, Autumn and Violet, 6 months old, Autumn, and Violet's 4.5, be able to have them with us all day long while Brent and I are both trying to run pretty big businesses. He now has an email subscription business for trading with over 400 subscribers, and I lead my online class, which is an intimate training for women. I have 25 women in that class, along with a list of 30,000 plus women that I send podcast episodes and content to weekly, and then alumni who I also stay connected to, and a membership site of my own that we are starting very soon. And by the way, you can get on the wait list for, which is a collective of women who want to come together and receive my support implementing these themes into their life of intuition and emergence and innovation in their lives and in their businesses. And it's balancing it all and being able to do that with a strong combination of structure and flow. And one of the things that, as I'm looking at emergence and what might be called to be taught right now and what is coming out of this experience that we're in, is literally today, we had to be on Zoom, which is an online conferencing system that I've been using for years. I've been leading circles and courses and team meetings for my team, which is a smaller meeting, as well as large meetings and webinars for 200 plus people for over 10 years now. And I know that these meetings, like the ones today, a lot of new people are using this software, and a lot of people are new to leading online meetings. And in a lot of these meetings, what you're wanting to create is something that I've been really experienced in, not only as a leader, but also a participant of many other online courses and webinars and things over the years. So I have a lot to share about engagement, how to create it and make it happen online in the same way that you would want it to happen in person. And I have a lot of experience with being able to create strong connection and being able to learn and encourage participation. A couple other things that are really important in a lot of these meetings, especially now when we are on social distancing, we are wanting to feel seen. We want to feel like people see us, and we want to see others, and we want to feel heard, but we want that experience to be grounded and peaceful and transformational. And I know a lot of the people who are new to using this online, and a lot of my students who I've never really broken this down before, it can be really frustrating and overwhelming when it's chaotic online or when those intentions are not being felt and met, mostly because you're not sure of how to lead and hold the space online. And so as I saw this happen today with my daughter's beautiful teachers who are, like older anyway, so this technology is new to them in general, and then they're definitely not well versed in teaching online using Zoom, and their intentions are so great, and they have these fun things planned, like asking the students to share or reading stories, and it can't really be experienced to the best, because especially with children, because the technology is, they don't know how to mute or unmute, or connections are unstable. And I want to just talk about, it made me realize, wow, okay, I have this expertise that I didn't even realize was an expertise, because it's so second nature to me and so many online business owners, because we've been doing this for years. And I know a lot of people are needing to learn how to switch to online, or a lot of my students will, use Zoom. So I wanted to talk about some of the core pieces of that as we walk. But I also made a video for you, so you can access the video. I made 2 this morning, actually. The first one is for leaders and teachers and instructors, so that I go into detail about the Zoom software and how to use it, and even do some screen sharing. And then I also made a video that you can share with any of your participants, because a big part of success in teaching and holding a powerful online space is also that your participants know how to use the software. So I made a video for them as well, just simple instructions for you and to share with them, that will help them prepare their space, their heart, themselves, and their technology awareness of Zoom particularly, to be able to help you create a powerful experience too. So I encourage you, when you're back inside or at your desk or before your next Zoom call, watch that for yourself. It's just the basics to start. And then you can share the other one with your participants if you'd like to. And I hope that really helps you out. So the videos, I think, are going to be more useful, and I cover everything I'm going to say here, but I just want to share a couple things with you on our walk to think about, because you might be preparing to lead something today, or you might be participating in something today, since our only form of connection right now during quarantine is online. So if you don't know anything about Zoom, it's an amazing way to see people on video, hear people, and have easy gatherings by just sending a link and gathering everybody together in one space. So it's a free software if you are holding 45-minute or less meetings. If you want more than 45-minute meetings, then you have to purchase the software, and it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $10 a month, maybe $30 a month. Not exactly sure, but you can find it on your app store or online, Zoom, Zoom. And the first thing I want to talk about is the main thing I saw today. So Violet was in 2 classes. She did her nursery school, preschool class, and then she did a yoga class. And I'm also participating in a lot of different classes online, always have been, but there are newer teachers right now that don't know what they're doing, to be quite frank. And so the first thing I want to share is you want to prepare yourself to teach online and recognize the main difference from it, including a difference actually right now in making this podcast as well. And if you ever do make a podcast or record a podcast, the strangest thing is that you're engaging and talking to people, but there's no sound coming back, ideally. So this is the biggest mistake I'm seeing on Zoom, is it's a little awkward to talk to yourself and hear nothing back, and it takes a minute to kind of get comfortable speaking that way. And you don't realize that it's actually kind of a practice talent, that a muscle that you have to build, that I've been building for over 10 years now, but that you'll need if you're going into filming podcasts. You don't hear anything, so you have to know how to pause for that laugh, or communicate in a way that feels more natural, even though there's no sound coming back. And the same is on Zoom. So I see a lot of people fearing muting the line because it's uncomfortable to be in that fertile void. And so they don't mute the line when they start off. And then it's just this chaos because there's so much noise and sound coming in from every different area. And so in the video that I made for you, I go over the sound and all the details on Zoom of how you can make that a powerful experience and what to think of from a teacher perspective. But most importantly, I just want you to know that you want to prepare yourself that there's a learning curve and there's an experience that you'll need to build in getting comfortable talking on Zoom and using the mute and unmute function, mostly because you're speaking into a fertile void. And just be gentle with yourself on that and don't let it stop you from creating the experience. And some things I found are, just really creating a powerful space with technology and making sure you know it before you jump on is so important. You don't want to be learning while there are people there. And if you are not comfortable with the technology, you haven't had a practice one with a friend, or you haven't watched a video like the one I made for you, some kind of training on the software, which is always easy to find. There's always tons of training videos on YouTube for like virtually any kind of software that you're going to buy or use in your business. And spend the 10 minutes, 30 minutes getting to know the software, because if you come on technology stressed and insecure, that's how your whole meeting is going to start, and the whole experience is going to be flooded with that from the beginning, and it's really disruptive and distracting. So do yourself a favor and take the time to get confident with the technology. It's going to take less time than you think, and it's going to be exponentially worth the investment of your time. And just know that we love you, we hear you, and you get a little bit more self-love when you recognize that you're interesting to listen to. And even though you're in that fertile void sound, you kind of get more confident with yourself in speaking by, letting yourself feel good about doing that and choosing, as I said, to mute the line. Again, you want to mute the line more than you think, and I won't go into that here on our walk because I would rather just stick to talking about the deeper things with it, because you can go watch the video for the actual how-to. And you'll find the video in the blog of this week's episode. So there's always a link to my website in the episode description, and the most recent blog will be there. Otherwise, you can click on the blog files and find this episode. The videos will be shared on the blog. You can access them there. So the next thing is you also want to be prepared by knowing some other cool systems, which I share in the video, which is just like Google Calendar. I teach you how to share the Zoom link. So getting your people to your meeting on time and them not searching for the link everywhere is really important. And then making sure they know the software a little bit by giving them some details in your invitation really helps. So that's why I made that second video for you that you can share with your participants to make it easy for them. And then, so the other things I share in the video are like your content plan, planning your content. I don't go deep into this because it's more about the technology, so I'll touch on this a little bit more here, in that you want to have a plan outlined before you go into any kind of leading, whether it is a retreat or an online or in-person experience. You want to kind of break down how much time you have so that you can start on time, end on time, and feel balanced without over-providing or rushing in the middle. So the most important thing is to consider, what kind of sharing is going to be happening. Are you going to be doing all the speaking? If so, it's much easier to manage time. If you are opening up to other people doing popcorn style sharing or Q&A, that requires a little bit more of your intention and space holding around time. And that usually will mean you're using more of the mute and unmute functions when it's online, but it's mostly going to be you pre-deciding, okay, I'm going to have storytelling where I'm going to read a story for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to open up for every single student to share. So in order to time that properly and to see how it would fit in, you would need to know how long the story is that you're reading, or how long you're going to be speaking or sharing content of any kind. And then you're going to want to know how many people are there if everyone is going to share, and how long are you going to give them to share. You want to give them a time limit so that you can properly timed. So this would be like, okay, everybody's going to have 1 minute to share. Another way that you can do this is by saying something like, okay, everybody is going to describe this in one sentence or use one word here. And that helps you to more keep solid time holding space when you're holding a meeting, an event, a group, a webinar. And you also might want to realize if you're having a large group of people, everyone is not going to be able to share, or that will probably be the majority of your call. If you have 30 people on a call and they are all going to share and you're giving them 2 minutes to share, that's going to be an hour. So depending on how long you're meeting for, that might not work. And so that's how you can determine whether you're only calling on a few people, whether everyone's going to share and you need to cut down their time. So if you were leading a group of 15 to 30 people and you wanted to be able to hear from each person, you might need to really limit their share by giving them a prompt like use one word or one sentence or in 10 seconds or less. Those kind of guiding points helped you to be a solid space holder, both for managing the time properly, but also for making your participants feel held so that everybody can be seen and heard. They will follow your direction and need your leadership in that way. And then from another perspective, you can also use on Zoom a really cool function. There are breakout rooms, and you can use the chat box. So if you had a larger group, you might ask them to, I'll put this for in-person and Zoom, if you're in person, you might ask them to write something down. If you're on Zoom, you might ask them to put it in the chat box, which is cool. When you have a chat box and you're online, it's like people can be doing things for themselves, but still sharing with each other. And that creates really an ability to see and connect and engage and participate without you needing to create chaos with sharing and unmuting and all the things. The chat box is a really great function for using for that. And you can encourage your participants to use that and put that into your content plan. The breakout rooms are really cool because you can break out people into groups of like 2, 3, 10, and they can connect with each other in these other little private rooms. And that's a really powerful way to create intimate connection, and something I use a lot in Mentor Masterclass when I'm teaching content. Our first call of the month is all learning brand new coaching tools and techniques, and their high-level training mastery skills. And our theme is that the first week with the workbook, I have them walk their talk by applying this in their own life. So on the call, I will ask them to share out loud. I will ask them to put in the chat box, and then I will break them up into smaller groups with 1 or 2 other people so that they can actually share and hear and practice the content, because that's the way that I help my students to remember it, so that when they go into a coaching session, they actually know what they're doing. And the other thing that we do on Zoom a lot is I'll also be able to kind of play music when they enter, and that's one way I use sound to ground them, and something I plan into the content. And I'll really only unmute at the end for everyone to say goodbye, or if I'm encouraging them to you can unmute using a function like, okay, if you agree with this, say yes. And then I would click unmute all on the Zoom so that everybody can be heard and we feel the power of the group. So there's a lot of different ways that you can play, and I just want you to think about that. How can I be creating engagement and connection and learning and participation? And the main ways you're going to do that when using Zoom or an online conferencing is by the power of mute and unmute, how you plan that into your content, how you hold space for the time, and the different ways you use like a chat box versus sharing out loud one at a time versus listening to you versus sharing with each other. And all of those are ways that you're going to really help people to see and be seen and engage. And so as you can see, there's the software, but the greater part of this is really your awareness of really your confidence, and then your planning into the space holding and your ability to know the different functions of the system and how they can support that. So again, using them, giving them journal writing time will create a personal connection with themselves, giving them time to listen to you, and using some of the features that I teach you in the video will help you to use their muting and unmuting so that they're connected, and learning how to use like the chat box and the mute and unmute section is going to help them to engage and connect with each other, as well as how you divide up that sharing out loud time. And feeling seen and seeing others will be part of the visual process that I break down inside the video that I shared with you on the blog with this podcast episode, because the speaker and gallery view and how you set it up will help them to feel seen and see each other. And so I just wanted to chat with you about this today, because as I was in emergence, I was recognizing that being online is probably going to be even more of a new normal. I'm hoping more people are able to have these kinds of businesses. They're able to take their work home and stay working from home so that we can be more connected with our families. I've really been seeing what a huge adjustment this has been for other people who are not like Brent and I and who don't work from home. An example, I won't give a name, but just thinking of a particular family we know who leaves at 6 a.m. for work, drops their kids off at daycare and school. They go into extended after plan because they don't get home till 7. Then they have stuff like karate and classes and gymnastics and stuff that they take their kids to, and they're not home till 9 and they go to bed, and the amount of time that they spend with their kids is pretty small. And so what a beautiful opportunity so many people are getting to see what Brent and I and so many entrepreneurs and the women I train who become coaches. It's not easy running your business from home, and there are a lot of skill sets you have to learn that are different from what you know. But the trade-off is that you get to be a deeper part of your own life and your children's life. And you actually get to be really intentional about your home space and how you spend your time. And it requires self-responsibility, and it requires support. That's one of the things I've been learning here, is that we need each other. We need these ways of connecting when we're at home. Online entrepreneurs and my students more than ever, it's so easy for them to isolate, because on a normal day, an entrepreneur or someone who runs an online business is pretty quarantined. So it takes effort and intention to get out and engage outside of your work and to shut your work off when you're at home, because the other problem that people have working from home is then it's like they can work all the time. There is no cutoff of leaving the office, so you have to do that yourself. And I'll share a quick tip on that I learned is a really easy thing to do is hide your laptop, put it in a closet, or if you have a desktop computer, put a scarf or a blanket over it, and that indicates like work time is over. So then you're not unconsciously going back to your computer and getting on it all day and all night, which is not good for anyone. You want to be able to be present in all the different areas of your life and not just your work. And so, there's a lot that goes into, and this is why my program Mentor Masterclass is a year long, because I talk about and train in all of these areas. I help women to understand what are the intricacies and skill sets needed to work from home and to work online. How is that different from anything they've ever experienced, and what does that balance look like? And a lot of that includes teaching intuition, and now it's a new practice of emergence that I've become obsessed with, if you haven't been able to tell already. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about that. A lot of people who want to work with me do not want life coach training or run other type of coaching business, other type of businesses outside of coaching businesses. And that's why I'm starting this sisterhood collective, where we can learn these things together. So again, I hope that you will feel supported in this, and if this is new information for you, or just reminded of some things that you can celebrate that you already knew that you didn't know were such expertise. That was my realization today. As I was getting frustrated with every teacher who was using Zoom and not creating a powerful experience. So I wanted to help. I hope those videos are helpful. You can feel free to send either one of the videos, a video to any instructor you know. I've made them very sweet and supportive and encouraging. So if you know somebody who is new to teaching online that you want to support them in creating a better, more engaged experience, you can share this with them as a happy resource. Or if you yourself or someone you know is new to participating, you can send that video. You'll find them on JanineYoder.com with this episode. The link should be in the description of this episode for you to shoot on over. If you want to work with me to become a life coach and learn how to coach online, you can go to mentormasterclass.com and start my free self-discovery week training, or you can apply. We have some discounts and scholarships happening right now just for quarantine to support you. So you can go on over and apply, or take the free self-discovery week and find out more about the program. And also there's a link in this week's episode to get on the wait list for my new membership. We'll be opening the doors to that soon. I'd love to have you in the Founders Circle. There'll be a discount for starting off with me as it's brand new. And I am planning to talk a lot about receptivity for our first month in that when doors open. And if you're on the wait list, you'll get access to that. I'm going to start with the government care package that's come out, what online professionals need to know and what you're eligible for as a small business owner. I have all that information, as well as my bookkeeper and my tax guy. We're going to do some interviews and share that with you inside the membership. So if you want to get in on that, I hope you'll get on the wait list so you'll be the first to find out when the doors open. Thanks for listening. Share this episode, please, with anybody who might need to feel into the breaking down of routine, emergence, and what it looks like in our daily lives and what we're heading into, and being able to connect deeper online using Zoom platform, or just needed some of these leadership skills or participant skills to be able to enjoy all the things we're doing online now that we used to do in person. Oh my gosh, it was so great to walk and get some fresh air. Hopefully it keeps warming up, because oh my gosh, isn't that so enlivening and supportive when we have those nice warm days? It's like quarantine is all good. Then we can quarantine for life. So happy to be with you guys each week. I'll be back next week. We'll keep talking about emergence, and eventually we'll also start getting into innovation, why that's important and what it means. And I just absolutely love walking with you and talking with you. So if you had something you wanted to share that came up from this episode, or if you relate, you can hit me up on my Instagram, janine.yoder, or send me an email. I read them all, and I love hearing from you and knowing who is walking with me. I also love getting your pictures where you're walking and listening, and using the hashtag WalkWithMePodcast. Tag me, Janine Yoder, Janine.Yoder. Just please engage with me. I'm an extrovert and I'm going crazy over here in quarantine. So this was fun, just talking about all the ways we can connect better and more powerfully. I'll talk to you next week. Hope you had a great walk. Love you. Bye.